Here's what's coming up on today's show.
Stock market crashes, I think a lot of people who have been investing for a while realize the markets do go down. It's normal. And so understanding how those work and how the markets can work in your favor and how we deal with those sorts of things is part of the process. Hello, this is Mark Silverman, managing member and founder of Silverman & Associates, and I'm also a certified financial planner professional. I want to welcome you to the Saving with Silverman podcast. I'm glad you're here. Each week, we'll discuss different financial planning topics because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life.
Let's talk about something that we're accustomed to talk about, and that is you as a financial advisor and getting to and through retirement, as our listeners all want to do it successfully. A recent survey is out from Financial Advisor magazine. It was completed by nearly 400 advisors all over the country, the majority of whom have been in the business for more than 20 years. Based on that survey, let's see what are other financial advisors experiencing with clients, and does that line up with what you're encountering? So advisors in this particular survey said 52% of clients seek out a financial advisor to help with retirement planning, whereas only 34% are primarily working with someone just to build wealth. Is that similar to what you find in your client base?
I would say it's kind of in line there. In fact, by the way, I just celebrated my 30th year in the business.
Oh, really good.
I don't know if that gives away my age, but anyways,
That's
I started
a long
when I was
time,
very,
man.
very young. Yes, I know.
I know you were a toddler when you started out.
I was. But we focus on financial planning, and I've talked about this before. Financial advisor is kind of used loosely. In my opinion, most of the people out there, especially unfortunately on the radio, most of them are financial salespeople, disguised as giving advice. But we really do focus on financial planning and putting together financial plans and giving advice to people, not products, which is what most people are focused on, is just selling a product, typically high commission product. But retirement planning is a big component. People who are retired want to know if they're going to be able to stay retired, and people who aren't retired want to know if they can retire. So I'd say that's a big component of it. Along with that, the asset management, or people looking to build wealth and growing assets and having that managed. That's something that we obviously do as well. But that's something we don't even get into until we've established a plan and know where we're going and where we are, if we're going to be okay, before we even get into.
And most of those so-called advisors that you talked about, I mean, they're pretty much focused on building wealth and not all the other stuff.
Some are. Some are looking to sell investment management only. But, quite honestly, a lot of the people on the radio that we get that come across us, we get a lot from referrals, so we get a lot of different areas. But a lot of people that come from the radio are meeting with other people who, unfortunately, are just trying to be sold typically an annuity or an insurance product, a LIRP, whatever it might be. And so, that's not exactly building wealth. If you buy one of those products, I can guarantee you're not going to be building wealth with one of those investment vehicles, or insurance vehicles, I should say.
Yeah. Well, getting back to this financial advisor survey of almost 400 advisors all over the country, for more than half of the surveyed financial advisors, the average client has $760,000 in assets. Is that comparable to what you experience?
I think every area is a little bit differently and given experience and stuff like that. And like I said, we do focus on financial planning, and we don't have asset minimums. I will say that. I mean, we try to help everybody that we can. Not everybody's a fit, with that being said. But I would say our average client is closer to the $1 million range or more. But every area is a little bit different. But we don't have minimums. I try to help whoever I can.
Yeah, that 760,000 is kind of an average of about half of those folks. Advisors reported the following as the top concerns for their clients. First of all, 38% said they were worried about outliving their assets. 31% said they were focused on generating reliable income. 13% said a future stock market crash they were worried about. 8% said they were worried about healthcare costs. And the remaining 10% fall into other categories. So that's what people are concerned about. Is that what you think should be their main concerns?
I mean, I think people's number one concern, like you said, is making sure you don't outlive your assets. Yeah. Somebody that's retired or going to be retiring want to make sure that they have enough money to do everything that they're setting out to do, and having somebody look over their numbers and making sure that it's going to work out. Generating income, I'd say, I don't get that a lot. I mean, most people, that's part of the planning process is looking at, Social Security if they have a pension, if most people don't, and then looking at their assets and coming up with an income plan as far as how we're going to generate the income to give them in retirement that they'll have and have it grow as well, obviously with inflation being an issue these days. Stock market crashes, I think a lot of people who have been investing for a while realize the markets do go down. It's normal. And so understanding how those work and how the markets can work in your favor and how we deal with those sorts of things is part of the process.
Yeah. And I think one key out of all that is the fact that, people are living so much longer these days, and it takes a lot of planning to make sure that you don't outlive your money.
It does. I mean, as I say, people are not necessarily living healthier, but they're living longer, which means if you're in a nursing home or you need some type of in-home care, you've got to somehow pay for that. And so, people are living longer. Each generation is living longer than the last, and so you've got to figure out how you're going to pay for it.
Yeah. More than 1/3 of the advisors surveyed mentioned the challenges associated with their clients supporting adult children or other family members, maybe their own parents. Is that something that's happening with a lot of your clients?
Occasionally we'll have clients that that are maybe helping out an aging parent that needs some help or is going into a home, something like that. Sometimes children, if there's special needs or something like that, that can make, there's a process for that as well. I don't know if it's a third, but we do come across it. I'd say probably more, maybe 1 out of 5 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's happening a lot out there because, especially those people in the sandwich generation where they may be helping their kids and their parents at the same time, and that gets rather difficult sometimes. According to this survey, 63% of clients who were at least 55 years old intend to work to 65 and beyond that. Do your clients end up working up to and past 65? And is that the right approach for most people?
Everybody's situation's different, so I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all with any of this stuff. Some people have done a good job saving and planning, and they want to retire at a certain age, and maybe they want to transition into something else, whether it be fully retired or maybe get into something, another type of job or something else that they've wanted to pursue, or maybe even just slow down, take a step back and maybe work, half as many hours. So everybody's situation is different. If you enjoy what you do, I think certainly for me, I don't ever see myself fully retiring. Mm-hmm. And I know that's not everybody's answer, but I enjoy what I do. I can't see myself totally walking away, whereas some people want to walk away or do something different. So everybody's situation is different. You just have to have the assets to support that type of lifestyle. And if you're retiring, prior to 65, the big question there is, and it's, one things we have to work on is figuring out how the healthcare situation is going to be, because that's going to be a big expense.
Yeah,
until you get to Medicare.
Those of us who actually enjoy what we're doing, we're very fortunate because there's so many people out there who just hate their jobs, can't wait to quit.
Exactly. And I get that. I work for myself, so I think that's a big benefit. But if I was working for somebody else, I could see that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let me give your phone number again because, I hope that a lot of people listening to the show today see themselves in this situation. And we've been talking about a survey that was done with about 400 advisors around the country talking about the kinds of things that they see, the characteristics of their people and this sort of thing. And some of those match up with what Mark Silverman is saying and some don't because there's no generic one-size-fits-all when it comes to retirement planning, as we have discussed so many times before. The number to call or text is 520-333-7601, 520-333-7601. That is a number for Silverman & Associates. Mark Silverman is the founder and the managing member. His office is in Tucson. He has the True Wealth Financial Life Planning process. If you'd like to tap into all that knowledge, as he's mentioned a moment ago, 30 years in the business. That is a very long time. A lot of experience, a lot of wisdom has been accumulated. If you want a 20-minute conversation with Mark Silverman, call that number or text that number, 520-333-7601. You've been listening to the Saving with Silverman podcast. If you have any questions at all about your financial situation, please give Mark Silverman a call. Again, his number is 520-333-7601, or go online to savingwithsilverman.com. For Mark Silverman, I'm Ron Stutz. We'll see you next time on the Saving with Silverman podcast.
The Saving with Silverman podcast is brought to you by Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, based in Tucson, Arizona. The show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and everywhere you listen to shows. Subscribe to the show on your favorite app today and never miss an episode. Just search for Saving with Silverman to find us, or visit savingwithsilverman.com to listen to past episodes, to contact Mark, and to learn more about how to make smarter decisions with your money.
Did you know that Mark Silverman also has a radio show? Tune in to Saving with Silverman Saturdays and Sundays at 3 p.m. on AM 790 KNST.
All matters discussed on this show are for informational purposes only. Opinions expressed are solely those of Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, and staff. All topics covered are believed to be from reliable sources. However, Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC makes no representation as to its accuracy or completeness. This show shall in no way be construed as a solicitation to sell securities or investment advisory services to residents of any state other than Arizona or where otherwise permitted. Topics should be discussed with your individual advisor prior to implementation. Fee-based financial planning and investment advisory services offered through Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Arizona. Insurance products and services are offered through Silverman & Associates, an affiliated company.